My name is Antoni Hryniewiecki from 0xHack, and with me is Nate Parton from WithTally. Hi, Nate.
Hey, great to be here.
How are you doing?
Doing very well. Yeah, our co-founder at Tally, Dennison, was slated to present, but unfortunately had to miss just for some last-minute stuff coming up.
No problem. I'm happy to have you. So tell me more about WithTally and your role there.
Yeah, so WithTally is a governance platform that allows you to interact with a bunch of different Ethereum, primarily DeFi protocols. And something interesting about it is that everything that we've integrated thus far is running on essentially like a similar governance stack. It's all running on a compound based governance. So that's been in a way, it's been like a really big benefit for Tally that we've been able to just scale up our support for protocols. And yeah, in the last couple months, we've gone from, I think, just Uniswap and Compound to I think 10 or 11 protocols on the site presently, including we just added Gitcoin recently, which was really exciting for me personally to see them decentralize.
So WithTally does it have any relations with the GTC token that Gitcoin released?
No relation per se, but Gitcoin, when they were, I guess, deliberating of like what, how they wanted to govern decentralized, they decided that they wanted to go with a compound governance framework, which so far for them, I think has worked out really well. It allows people to delegate their votes to kind of like people who are a little more engaged with proposals and governance. So already they've seen a lot of people, a whole slew of people. There's been like graphics going around about it that have gotten a lot of support from other community members who were receiving their airdrop tokens for participating. So I think it proved to be a pretty good choice thus far. And then they also have the benefit of everyone who can just kind of plug into them directly because they're already working on the same system.
Yeah, I was quite surprised by the news of the airdrop, but I think that out of all the governance tokens that I've seen, Gitcoins makes the most sense, and yeah, I really like what we're doing, and it helped us a lot with our hackathon and quickly building a community of really talented developers. So yeah, shout out to the Gitcoin team. Yeah, that was a lot of help, and I think our hackathon wouldn't be as successful as it is right now without very platform. Yeah. So tell me more about governance Legos.
Yeah, that's mainly what we wanted to talk about is basically the benefits of a little bit of like standardization for some of these tools and how that unlocks other opportunities. And yeah, Tally, we are primarily building like governance front ends, so that's something that we think about a lot. So far, like I mentioned, we only have integrated with stuff that's built on compound governance, so Governor Alpha, and then their new kind of upgraded version, Governor Bravo. And we, back in maybe December, November of last year, we kind of took like a big bet that was going to work out for us if we just sunk a lot of time and effort into supporting just this one governance system. And there are a lot of other types of governance that are being used actively, but we've found that Compound has really actually taken off in the past couple months. I think kind of proving some of these benefits of standardization. So why has Compound kind of like had that spark? I think first and foremost, it's simple, and it's kind of like a small system that just does a specific thing. Um, so it has like um, a few different methods, but it really doesn't do that much as the compound governance itself. It's basically just a method of controlling other other admins that you might need, um, which I think is really interesting. It seems like a lot of the initial um, DAO mechanisms from like 2017, when DAOs people were first thinking they were going to catch on, um, they had a strong focus on kind of being able to do everything, and having like a solution kind of in the toolbox for anything that a DAO might need. Um, when Compound, I think, took a very different approach. They tried to just figure out what is it that's like the core of governance, which is basically just voting and controlling other admins. And if you need some of those other tool sets, token minting or other various things that are kind of like part of those more complete like DAO systems, like I'm thinking of maybe like Aragon or DAO Stack, you can kind of plug in other things that are going to best meet your needs rather than needing to participate in this kind of whole bundled system. So I think that's proven to be like really appealing to teams because they don't need to commit to a whole governance ecosystem all at once.
Yeah, so from what I understand, the compounds ecosystem is quite simple to implement and to use for the teams. So how does it compare to other governance systems? Like the one I know and use often is Snapshot. How does that compare to that?
Yeah, I think the greatest benefit for compound governance over Snapshot, which I'm a huge Snapshot fan as well, and I think that's it's another standard which I think is super valuable. Compound brings a level of decentralization that Snapshot can't really match now. So there's a little bit of added friction that you have to like submit your votes on chain. You have to pay transaction fees. So that's a negative. It makes it less appealing and less easy to participate and get like wide participation. But it's very clear of like what represents a valid vote. There's like a quorum threshold that you need to meet for the vote to go through, and then once it passes, it can like kind of automatically execute whatever its payload is or what it's doing. With snapshot voting, the biggest issue is that it can't automatically execute its votes. So it needs to have like a multi-sig, or there's some other interesting mechanisms they're thinking about, but it needs to have like another mechanism to actually do what the proposal says to do. Usually that's a multi-sig. And there's no, if you're just relying on a multi-sig, you're kind of just asking nicely as a token holder. It's like a request, but you're always in the possibility that it might not actually work out like it was supposed to. So I think we haven't seen a lot of issues like that with protocols that use multi-sigs and snapshot. It seems like the alignment is mostly there, but it's something that that we watch out for. Maybe at some point in the future, if you live in the US, there might be some sort of legal considerations, maybe that you don't want to actually be like in control of these funds or these important things. You really need that to be held by the community and the token holders. So yeah, I think there's a big decentralization benefit of using compound-based governance. That being said, what we've seen is that a lot of protocols, they're not just standardizing like one particular tool that they're using, but they're using a couple different kind of well integrated, well respected tools, and then they're plugging them into a governance process. And they're even sometimes, adopting a similar governance process between different protocols. So yeah, I think a lot of protocols we work with, we want to add snapshot support really badly, because a lot of protocols will start out with snapshot just to get as much participation as they can, and make it really easy for everyone to have their say. And then they'll have a follow-up vote with the compound voting system that'll actually execute it. And that's almost becoming kind of like a procedural standard where you start out with the free vote and then you go and do the sort of like maximum security vote.
I see. Thanks for clarifying that. We have a question from the audience. I would you read it out on the screen?
Yeah. What do you think of the ideas being introduced by Kleros, which is, if listeners aren't super aware of what Kleros does, it's it's a decentralized courts system essentially. So it has a mechanism where if there's a dispute of some kind, it can be escalated, and then it kind of like pulls in people to arbitrate on the dispute, based on some like decentralized. I think you have to stake tokens to be like pulled in as a juror. So it's very interesting. It kind of uses like the decentralized, like Shelley Oracle mechanism in general. I'm super excited about it. One use case which I think is coming, I don't know if it's already live yet, but it's going to be, I believe, integrated with Snapshot, where you can have like basically like Kleros execute the results of the Snapshot vote, and then if somebody says that the vote wasn't done correctly, or if like it's not being executed properly, then you can escalate it to their dispute mechanism. So I think there's a lot of ways where, if you use like Snapshot, for instance, which is just this standalone thing, you can plug it into like other tools like Kleros, and get more benefit out of it. I think for large value protocols, they probably are uncomfortable with relying on external systems for stuff that's like that important, though. That's kind of my take on it. So someone like Compound or like Uniswap, who has billions of dollars of value even, they might be a little hesitant to like use that too centrally in the governance system.
Cool. Thanks for answering the question. I'm looking at your website right now, and I can see that you're working with some really cool projects. Yeah. So the governance Legos. Let's get back to that. How does it compare to DeFi composability? Like, I think that the governance Legos is like something I haven't heard before. Is that a term that WithTally coined, or is it is it from DeFi? How does that work?
Yeah, we tried to adopt the DeFi Lego sort of like moniker and just like pivot that to governance, but I really do think it's pretty applicable. When you are, like when you're using the compound governance system, like all of the protocols on Tally now, that's just kind of one piece of the puzzle, and the way that they plug in other things has a lot of interesting possibilities for basically being able to like run governance more effectively. So yeah, like I think most protocols now, when they're first launching, their minimum viable governance is, they plug signal voting, like with Snapshot, which is free and very high participation, but doesn't actually control stuff, together with a multi-sig. And then that allows them to like kind of carry out all the key functions of governance, community input, and then actual execution. Larger protocols will plug in, the signal voting, and then instead of a multi-sig, they'll have like compound voting, or they'll have whatever their kind of bespoke on-chain governance mechanism is. Some people will use Snapshot, and then they'll use Aragon, or Snapshot and Compound. That's a super common sort of like configuration, if you will. And then what we're particularly excited about is kind of like net new configurations that we can make, and like how that can be like even more useful for the community. So for instance, we're seeing a lot of like grants writing bodies forming out of protocols. I am like a reviewer on Uniswap and Compound grants, and I know that several other protocols have launched recently. And right now, their sort of like governance stack for the grants is basically just like they get a mandate from a governance vote, and then they just control it through a multi-sig. But with a little bit more sort of like interesting technology features that are not that hard to build in, you can create a lot of other like very valuable configurations where like you could have a multi-sig that controls like a time lock. So it's, basically like you can give the grants writing body like this money in the time lock, but then there's another sort of like oversight thing on top of the time lock that can take the money back if they're, not performing well. So I'm very excited for new configurations as well, in addition to the ones that we've already seen, which is basically like adding signal voting like Snapshot along with other execution methods.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to be built using your solutions. And Dennis, on the WithTally CEO, mentioned that you are looking to hire. Do you know anything about that? What positions you have open?
So we just grew the team a bit, which is awesome. We're now 8 people. Myself, designer, and then our co-founders, and then a bunch of devs. But yeah, I think we're still basically open to like more front-end developers over time, and probably more like community management features, which is sort of my job, but there's just so much to do that it's incredibly overwhelming. There's like a new team launching governance. Feels like almost every day. So yes, the governance space is very full of opportunity right now.
Is there any website or link where people looking to get hired by WithTally can visit?
Certainly is. It's careers.withtally.com. I actually have to check. Yeah, okay. It's not showing any listings presently, but basically, if you're interested in DeFi governance, we just have an open door policy. So just come at us, and even though we don't have a position listed there right now, like we always.
So you're looking for front-end developers, community managers, anyone else?
I would say that, and then just also like, if you're interested in governance, like pitch whatever you think is valuable.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Nate. Thanks for taking the time to be here. Happy to have you. Thanks for that short conversation about governance.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yes, again, sorry that that Denison wasn't able to present, but very glad to be here myself and speak with you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.